So we met, 14 years ago?
Yeah, it's been about 14 years now. She was in ministry, I was in ministry, and we kind of got together. And I wasn't looking for romance or a relationship. And she really loved me, and she shared true love with me. But I couldn't receive it because my heart was so closed and just not open to a relationship. And then we stayed together, and we had Zoe.
Yeah. We had Zoe, and we split up. We split up while I was pregnant because he was not ready, as he said, for a relationship. In his words and not mine, he was selfish and he only thought about himself. So from the time I was about 5 months pregnant, we split up. He was around for Zoe, but we couldn't get along. We definitely knew we had to separate. I moved all the way back home to New York, and he wound up coming here. I hated being there, and I was ready to leave. And so I was like, okay, I have to find a place that would be good for me and my kids. And I put in all across the East Coast and wound up getting a job here in Georgia. We moved and nothing happened between us. We co-parented. It wasn't easy co-parenting.
Because I was still, like she said, I was still selfish, and I was just about trying to, I don't know, I guess I was looking for love, but I didn't quite know what it was. And I would come to see Zoe, and I would come and get her, and we would go out, and just the way she would look at me, like I was just the best thing in the world. And I couldn't understand that look because I've never had that type of love. And the way she would look at me and the way she would act towards me, it just made me feel something inside, real special. That was some true love. And once I realized that's what it was, I took to it, and it began to change me. It began to change who I was. As I would come, I started looking at Antoinette, and I saw how hard she was working, and I saw just the thing she was, because I'd never looked at her because all I could see was myself and what I wanted. But the first time I looked at her and I saw her, she looked different to me. And me and Zoe went out, and I said, we're gonna get you something to eat. And she said, what about mommy? Because mommy doesn't eat. I was like, what? She said she doesn't eat, she works all the time. And so I was like, okay, well, let's get mommy something to eat. And we got her lunch too. And Antoinette and I began to talk to each other. Over the years, I've talked at her, around her, about her, but this time we began to talk to one another, and it was a communication like never before. We talked to each other's hearts, and I just said, you know what, I want to sow more, I want to do more.
I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't see him, I couldn't see anything past the past. And it took me letting go and allowing God to use my friends to show me, hey, look at him, because I couldn't see him. And it was times where he would try to talk to me, and I would look at him like, okay. And so he would come, and he, like he said, he wanted to sow into me. So he would come here, and I remember he told me, let me mow the lawn for you. And I'm like, no, I can pay somebody to do that. And he was like, well, I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna be visiting Zoe, so let's go ahead and do this. Let me do this for you. And I said, okay. So one day he was in the backyard, and my cousin was here, and she was like, hey, cousin, why you don't look back there? I said, for what? She was like, look back there, look what he's doing, look. And I turned around, and for the first time in a very long time, I actually saw him. And I looked at him, and I was like, oh my God, what? Okay, I'm gonna let him do this. And then he came to visit more. And then we talked more. And then for the first time, I saw something in him that I always had for him. I saw love in him. And it wasn't that type of love where it was just for show. He poured into me. I had never experienced anything like this ever in my life. And I think at that moment I knew that God, he allowed us to separate so that we could grow and we could get to a point where we would be able to love each other the way we both needed to be loved.
When we started talking, we called it the truth room, where I could tell the truth because I feel like I've been judged so much over my life. So you become defensive and you put up a guard and you don't let nobody in. But she said, you can talk to me, you can tell the truth and I won't judge you. And I said, oh man, I don't know. But I tried it, and once I did, I opened my heart and I started feeling again. I could feel, and I just, tears all the time, and because I'm feeling again, and it's okay. It's okay because it feels good not the Tin Man anymore, to have feelings and to have that kind of love from my daughter, from Antoinette, from her friends, her family. But it's amazing when love is done right, when you really receive that true love, that kind of love that God wants you to have, and it's unconditional.
I'm glad that we both allow God to come in and take all that anger, pain, suffering, hate, and turn this into something that was or is beautiful, wonderful, and something that I look forward to doing the rest of my life, and that's being with him.
I needed to get them back together so I would feel love again. I'm so glad that my dad and my mom finally got together, and now I am super happy and I love them so much.